Welcome to 561 Music. My name's Ben.
And I'm Hector.
How are you, mate?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah, cool. It's your wife Kelly's birthday today.
It is her birthday today, so shout out and happy birthday to her, and thank you for letting me out of the house to do the podcast.
I know, we stole you away for our little adventures in podcasting.
That's right. Play a little Luther Vandross later and sex her up. And
heavens to Murgatroyd.
Everything will be great. No, I'm kidding. Not kidding. Hashtag maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see where the night leads us.
There you go. So we have Old Habits with us today. We have Billy, Mike, and Travis. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Going
Very
well.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah,
Very nice to
absolutely.
be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. You were definitely on the list right from the beginning. I've been thinking about having you guys on, and then you released I don't know if it's out. Is it out yet?
Yeah. It came out April 2nd or 3rd.
Oh, right,
Hero's
okay.
Dose, our new EP. 5 songs, 4 songs and an intro. I don't know how people dice it up these days.
Yeah, that's excellent. So we have like a pretty kind of set sort of group of questions that we generally ask people, and I think I'm just going to kind of go down the line and talk to you about it. So, Billy, when you first got into music, what was the sort of situation like with were your family supportive, and how did it all sort of first happen when you were very young?
I wasn't into music, like playing music, until, this band we started, 11 years ago? This is my first band. Like, I tried a few bands in high school, and I just was not musically talented. I still am not. I was more of an actor. I was in acting for a decade and a half. And this is kind of like a natural segue, because, if you can command an audience, if you can,
Sure.
yell at people in such a way that they like it, I think that's, frontman-esque.
Sure.
But, no, I never really did anything musically before Old Habits, and my dad loves it. I think he's been to 1 show in 10 years, which it's not his stuff, which is more than fine.
Yeah, exactly. I guess with music that's a little more extreme like that, it may be commendable that he's been to 1.
Yeah. I don't really want him out there throwing down. He's a good fella. He needs to stay home. I don't need him spin kicking people.
And for the listener at home, in case you aren't aware, Old Habits are a hardcore band, local Florida hardcore band, super badass band. When it came to sort of deciding on your vocal style, did you just kind of go for it, or was there anyone that you were kind of looking to sort of emulate?
I wanted to be very clear when I yelled. I was in the military for 4 years. I did 4 years in the Marine Corps, and I just kind of patterned everything off of the way that I used to scream at people in the Marine Corps.
Oh, there you go.
So I just kept a very clear, very furious fucking shout. I don't ever want to be misunderstood. I don't want people to be like, I don't understand what the hell he's saying. I want it to be very well heard, very well understood and concise. So I just did that.
Well, it's funny. That's like that's probably my number one complaint of any hardcore music is when I listen to it and it's just like, and I can't understand a word they're saying. Yeah. So that was a good answer. I like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of his strengths. As a vocalist, you don't have any, you know exactly what he's saying.
Yeah,
that's the way he wants it, dude. It's
yeah, totally. So the message is important.
Ish.
The message varies.
It's still a hardcore band, that's still going to be, angry, goofy, rah-rah, punch people shit. There might be some serious stuff in there here and there, but, I don't think anybody's going to catch our act and be like, I got a lot to think about.
Right.
Shit, I've been doing it all wrong.
Okay, gotcha. What about you, Mike? How did you find yourself playing music? Did you have supportive parents? How did it all work out?
My family was pretty supportive. I learned. I never had a music lesson. I just started somehow gaining instruments in my house with other musician friends of mine.
Somehow,
allegedly. But I had some awesome friends when I was 13, 14 that were like, do you want a drum set? Do you want to learn how to play drums? You want a guitar? You want to learn how to play guitar? And
cool.
I'm very grateful for having that so early. And then I went to I'm originally from New York, but I moved down here to Stuart, Florida, and I went to a show in a cow field. Was my first show. It was on the fairgrounds, but it was
that sounds Florida-ish.
It was very Florida. They rented a bandstand, but it was all hardcore bands, so like it was like tipping half the time because everybody was just trying to like get on and do vocals, and like there was wood chips flying everywhere, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I just want to be a part of this for, you know, as long as I'm enjoying this. And I started playing in some pretty crappy bands pretty young, and I just it's something that's always been a constant for me. So I love just the, I don't know, like it's just such furious like energy at like a show that I love going to any concerts and just listening to music, but like going to that, it's like it was an experience the first time. It's usually an experience every time. It's fun. There's so much energy like the whole time. So
who would you say like some of the important kind of artists that got you into hardcore were?
Definitely Poison the Well is probably like the big one. I actually got into them before, I think I was like in middle school, and somebody had like a Poison the Well shirt, and I was like, what is that? And it was more like those like, I guess post-hardcore like Under Oath and like bands like that were like kind of on the cusp between. I think it made it like easy to, I wasn't listening to any heavy music before that, so it kind of made it easy to transition into that because they still have some clean and melodic parts and all that. But that's, I pretty much just listen to Poison Well front and back every day in like middle school on a iPod Shuffle or whatever. I think it was called.
I think I'm probably going to listen to them on the way home.
It's opposite of December time. It's fucking good. It's a great album.
What about you, Travis? How did you find yourself getting into music?
I really didn't have a choice, honestly, man. Like, my whole family are musicians. They were in a band since before I was born. So I grew up at band practices, like, falling asleep in my mom's guitar case. Like, so it's all I know. It's like my first memory. So,
yeah, cool.
So I took guitar lessons when I was 8. I started playing drums when I was, like, 14 or 15, and various music ever since, but I just don't know how to live life without it.
So you're in the Partridge Family? Is that what I'm hearing?
I get that a lot. Yeah.
I've been around there.
That's pretty awesome.
It's a great vibe over there, very musical. I remember I came over and played some
Bees Wings,
Richard Thompson
I
tune.
was just about to bring that up because me and my dad on Monday, Memorial Day, I had my whole family over, and we played that. He still has that video on his phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
and
so
awesome. It's so good.
Oh, really?
And that's the reason I was like, man, I've never heard this song before. Like years ago, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And so that's what got me into Richard Thompson. Dude.
Oh, wow, that's great. Richard Thompson is very important to me. Just his finger picking style and his whole thing. His lyrics are amazing.
It's wild, and that led me to find. Now I'm drawing a blank. Who does Workers song?
Oh shit.
Dick.
You had that on that playlist.
Yes, it's like Dick Goffman or something like that. Anyhow, I found him through Richard Thompson, and his playing is just unbelievable, dude.
I'm gonna find out who it is. I'm gonna do it.
It's along that same vein.
Using our state-of-the-art
Spotify
561 Music computer.
Oh, I shouldn't have said Spotify. My
Dick
bad.
Gone.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Workers song. It's incredible, dude. And how he plays, like his picking style on that song, I was like, what is this now? It's awesome.
Yeah, man. Finger picking is it is something that I go in and out of. It doesn't really. I could make it work with Killbillies, but I'd have to either I'd have to wear finger picks to cut through. I'd have to get basically a lot better at it. I can do it when I'm just playing solo, and I generally do it when I'm playing solo. But with a band, it's just a little intimidating. I feel like it gets lost a little bit.
It does, a little weaker vibe.
Yeah.
Have you heard The Tallest Man on Earth?
No.
Check that out. I don't know what he is, but he plays banjo and guitar.
Right.
But he finger picks with all 5 fingers.
Wow.
And it's it sounds like there's 3 guitars playing at one time, and it's only just him.
Yeah.
And his voice sounds like Bob Dylan. I don't know who tries to sound like Bob Dylan, but he sounds like Bob Dylan. I'm not knocking Bob Dylan. He's my favorite writer of all time.
Yeah,
I named my daughter after Bob Dylan, not Bob. I named her Dylan.
Right. Yeah.
So
she's thankful.
She's thankful I didn't name her Bob.
Yo.
But finger picking, man, it's just ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous.
Yeah, totally, man. So you're Florida born and raised, right?
Mm-hmm,
You're from here. So where did you find yourself having guitar lessons? Was it somewhere local?
We had when I started playing guitar when I was 8. We found a guy that taught privately out of his house. And when I first started playing, I was formally trained, learned how to read music and stuff like that. And come about 12, 13, I was like, nah, fuck this. I just want to play power chords and play as fast as I can. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Which I regret because now I don't remember how to read any music.
Right.
But then, you know, I started like self-teaching my, you know, the other stuff that I wish I would have learned and stayed in lessons. But yeah, we just found a private teacher down in Lantana, Florida. I can't remember his name at all because I was a kid.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, understand.
My mom taught me my first 3 chords, you know, G, C, D.
What were they listening to that kind of influenced you in the early days?
Oh, dude, I mean, I grew up on Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton, Bonnie Raitt, mostly blues, you know.
Yeah, man.
And that's what they played. Creedence.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a good Creedence, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to getting into the punk and stuff, who were some of your early influences?
When I was like, dude, I was young. I think I was in like 3rd grade when the album came out. When Green Day's Dookie came out,
Yeah.
my buddy was like, listen, I got this cassette tape. And he let me borrow it. And then I made my mom drive me straight to Target. And I bought that cassette tape, Green Day's Dookie in 1994. And then from there, I just kind of expanded and branched off. Because before that, I'm still all over the place with my music.
Sure.
I listen to everything. I don't understand how one person could be like monogamous
I hear you.
with their music style.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess if I have to pin it on one, how I got into punk, if you know people call it that, I'm sure people are going to yell at me saying that. But 3rd grade me thought Green Day's Dookie was punk,
Yeah,
and then
sure.
that's what made me explore that. So
It was. Fuck
It was
I don't
fucking
like
punk as hell, man.
I loved it, dude. I just thought this was the coolest shit I've ever heard, man.
Some 22-year-old's gonna be like, I don't think so. I wasn't around back then,
Yeah,
but I
shortly
think I
after that-
remember.
You're getting doxxed, dude. You're getting
Yeah, I'm
doxxed.
thinking- Shortly after that, fucking what came out? Dude Ranch, and that thing was an ass beater when it comes to speed. Like that
Yeah.
first song was just so fast, and I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
And then we just went off from there.
That's great. Who would you say got you into punk, Billy? How do you find yourself getting into it?
I started out in like new metal, you know, in middle school, you know,
Right.
Korn and Limp Bizkit, things of that nature there.
Yeah.
And I think, Dropkick Murphys was like the first big band that I heard in the punk category.
Yeah.
Dropkick Murphys, and then from there went into heavier stuff like Hatebreed and, you know, things of that nature there. But,
Yeah.
you know, like Travis, I was all over the place. Like anything musically, anything that was extreme.
Right.
You know, that was like punk, hardcore, you know, country, bluegrass, fucking blues, anything that I could find that was like a weird niche. I was like, oh, I'll just check that out. Let's see what's in there.
Cool.
Yeah, you'd find a lot of garbage, but yeah, there's a gem in everything. Any kind
Yeah.
of genre is going to have like really amazing artists.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that I'm really kind of making this theory up on the spot, but I think if people that plays slightly more offbeat music in one direction, they generally have very broad music tastes. It's almost like the opposite than what you'd expect, because you know the fact that you even found that style of music in the first place probably means you have, you know, you listen to a lot of different stuff. Yeah. So do you guys have a writing process? Like, how do you come upon your songs? How does that work?
Lyrically, I write constantly. Like I write just pages and pages and pages of stupid shit.
Right.
And then I hope to God that when I finally get to hear, like, you know, they write songs in a night. They'll write like 2 songs that are just amazing. I think Footsteps they did like, well, you guys wrote that in just one night, yeah? So they wrote that when I was out of the room, and I came back in a week later, and I was like, shit, this sounds amazing. I have to like really step up. And I look at like lyrics, and it's just pages and pages. It looks like a schizophrenic off his meds. I'm like,
That's Ben's phone, man.
Yeah, my phone has.
I'll bring him something and be like, what do you think of this chord sequence? He's like, I have lyrics for that.
yeah.
But usually we go into the studio usually, and I have nothing prepared, like as far as timing goes or anything like that, and we kind of coach and guide me to where I need to be. Like I said, I'm by habit and by trade, I'm not a musician. I don't have great timing. I just am good at shouting and yelling, and that's really about it.
Well, it goes a long way in a hardcore band.
Yeah, it's like 85% of it, and that other 15, you don't really need that much.
So, like in general, then do you record the songs before you play them live?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. We get everything kind of like recorded, and I try and figure out, like this last one was the most professional locked on I think we've ever been as far as I go, because like I said, this was the first time that I was like, okay, I'm going to hear the song, I'm going to come up with the lyrics, I'm going to figure out the pattern, you know, all that professional stuff you guys do and that they do. I was like, I'm going to try that. I bet you if I pretend to be a real musician, it'll take.
He fucking did it. Dude.
Yeah,
Excellent.
he really
I'm
did.
a real boy.
Because one of the ways that we do it, because we play so much, is we'll have like 3/4 of the song done, and then we'll almost just workshop it at gigs because we play so much. And if it's not that busy or something like that, we'll just play the song, see how it goes down, see how it feels, and then it slowly starts taking. You'll be like, oh, that bit does not work in front of people, you know. And it really helps actually.
We
like
really need another verse.
like a comedy bit almost. Like,
Yeah.
people didn't laugh, scrap it.
Yeah, it's exactly like
basically,
that.
yeah.
That's
why
pretty
comics do
bold.
their 5 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome that you have the ability to do that.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because I definitely would not do that in any project. I've played in
Not-
a lot
not
of different
music,
genres,
yeah.
not just like heavier music, and I don't think I would ever do that. That's pretty.
I
You got to
think-
be pretty on it.
I suppose there's a certain amount of leeway you have both with if you're kind of not necessarily the center of attention in a situation, you know.
Yeah.
So we are, you know, we do play gigs where it's like we are the center, you know, where it's people come to see us, but then we also play gigs where, you know, we're
So
competing
shapes.
with like a baseball game, and
Yeah,
we're
we're just
yeah.
background music.
Right.
yeah,
People
and
are
so it's usually
Drinking at the bar, and you're just like, all right, well, you know, I'll throw this one out there, see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's it. And the other advantage of being in an acoustic band is we can rehearse in James's living room with our acoustic guitars. You know, we don't have to
Yeah.
rent out of space. I mean, obviously, with No Name Scar Band, we have a space, but you know, Killbillies, we can just do it in James's living room. It's pretty sweet.
Does the Killbillies still have pints of Guinness in their repertoire?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good. That's an oldie but goodie.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our repertoire consists mostly of oldies but goodies at this point because we're ourselves oldies and debatably goodies.
We're definitely old.
Yeah. Mike, when it comes to sort of writing your stuff, do you have any kind of approaches that you take with it? How's it come out?
With Old Habits, it's like Travis has been playing for 4 years with Old Habits, 3,
give or take.
a number of years. But our guitar player Chris and I joined up, and we were originally, I think we just had like 2 shows that they needed people to fill in for, and originally we were just going to fill in for them. And I've always loved Old Habits from when they started, whatever, you know,
Sure.
over 10 years ago. So I was just stoked just to be able to play with them, even if it was only going to be like, you know, on a needed basis or whatever.
Yeah.
But we had so much fun, and with this album, I don't even think we really almost intended to like start writing. It was just we all just kind of started jamming together, and
Excellent.
It was one of the strangest and best writing experiences doing this, because it was just like everything just kind of like flowed out, and then we just had 5 songs.
Yeah,
it was really
awesome.
cool. And
Fast. We just wanted to play fast on
Yeah.
this EP. Like, we just want to make sure every song is under 2 minutes,
Right.
and they're all fast for most of it. And that's what we want to do. We just want to tear ass around the front yard.
Just really
everyone was
rock.
on the same page. with
Everyone was
it,
on the
too.
same
Yeah.
page with
So it was no conflicting ideas. We were all like hive mind, and just knocked out a few songs. I love these songs too,
Yeah,
a
excellent.
lot.
It really breathed a new breath into this band, because like before, I originally joined 4 or 5 years ago, and I was playing old Habit song, nothing I have written with them or anything. And then, like he said, him and Chris joined, same scenario, and then we're like, well, can we write our own songs now? Because it's a completely different cast besides for Bill.
Yeah.
And I'm the second veteran now,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
he's the only original member. So
Yeah.
like, let's
Well,
just do whatever
put it
we
down
want to
there, the
do.
original member of Killbillies. Isn't it?
Hey, classics never die.
Yeah, man. So, do you guys have a rehearsal space? Where do you guys practice out of?
Mainly DC Studios.
Okay.
With the house I just bought, I now have a music room,
Yeah.
and I live near Mike and Chris, our guitar player, up St. Lucie Stewart area. So now this next album we can write at my house,
Oh, nice.
and then we'll always have that available and not
Yeah,
have to
that's
drive
sweet.
down to Okeechobee. And Bill's just gonna have to suck it
Just
up and
have
drive
to
north.
Practice in my bedroom. You know, whoa, you know, in the mirror and shit.
Just do the moves. Just do the moves. Don't worry about any of the lyrics anymore. Just do all the moves.
It
But
doesn't
this
matter.
album was born at DC Studios.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where that album was written.
Where was it recorded?
We recorded it actually with did he have a name? Did Mr. Velli ever name him?
I don't know if he has a name yet.
Stravelli Studios.
I'm
Stravelli,
pretty
he
sure
doesn't
it's
like it, he can
Stravelli.
rename it himself.
Our
no,
buddy
it is.
Mike Stravelli, who
Tough
is the
titties,
most
Mike. Sorry.
patient and knowledgeable person, one of them I've ever recorded with.
Oh,
and
cool.
he was just a joy to record with, and like, especially when some things lyrically or musically, we'd be like, oh, we're stumped, we can't quite figure this out. He'd be like, well, why don't you try this a little bit? And like, well, that fucking works. Like, that's, that's brilliant. So
If he
one
keeps
song
going
didn't have,
seriously
like,
with it, he'd be a very good producer. He's actually the guitar player for my other band.
Yeah.
And when we play this like doomy stoner rock type stuff.
That's
and
7 Serpents.
Yeah, Seven Serpents. So it's like really, really heavy and sludgy.
It's
and,
awesome.
It was like acceptably messy, but when he came in, he's like, you gotta clean this shit up. Like, he was like the real musician that came in, and like I do primarily like now it's kind of all over the place, but I primarily did most of the songwriting, and he just always had an idea to match. Like, he's the perfect person to come in and be like, well, what if we added this and what if we added this? So
That's great. It's a fine line with a producer, and it's something that I've done a bit of producing in my time, and it's a fine line because you've got to really you've got to make sure that it's still the band's
exactly
music, you know
exactly.
what I mean?
And he's very, very good at just punching in the perfect idea, but not overtaking what somebody's trying to do.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to get us to do like a piano solo or anything. Or,
I'd be open to it though.
Oh, let's get the piano going.
Yeah,
Piano. Piano. It's different.
Get a flautist.
That's great. Yeah, cool. So this guy sounds awesome. I was wondering that one of our favorite questions is, and it is, do you, in terms of your instrument at home, do you practice? I'll start with Billy.
No.
Yeah.
We,
I figured that would be your answer.
Old Habits is like, I think you could probably fit all of our practices over the last 10 years into like, I don't know, a month and a half.
Right.
We are notoriously bad at getting together to practice unless there's like a show or something lined up. Like, we'll have a show lined up, July. We have a show in Orlando lined up. We might practice once before that. I have faith in us.
So how often do you play out?
Like play shows?
Yeah.
Used to, at our peak, we were playing like once every other month, I'd say.
Okay.
Right.
But yeah, mostly sporadic at best, especially after, post-COVID.
Has Old Habits ever been on tour?
No.
Right.
We played as far as Jacksonville.
Yeah.
We played one show in Philadelphia, and that's really been about it.
All right, Justin Giannuzzo's played with you guys.
Oh, yeah, he was our first drummer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was the better drummer.
Wrong kid died.
The good one.
Wrong kid died.
He's alive. I don't want people thinking he's dead.
No, yeah, Justin's a good lad. I play with him still just in No Name Scar Band. We have one more show left before Matt moves.
I was about to say, you guys are going to have to like do what we're doing there, like every 6 months or so have a show, yeah?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Are you guys going to play in Vegas at any point?
Well, that's what I'm planning. I'm hoping so.
I can't imagine that Matt wouldn't get you guys a gig in Vegas at some
I was
point.
going to say, that's got to be like the next step there. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, I guess we have to play in Vegas. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
What
I
a
guess.
shame.
Oh, we're
Darn.
opening at the Bellagio. Darn.
The last time I played in Vegas, I had such a good time. So we got to go to one of those like showgirls type shows where they trot out like a great line of ladies all with
That's a brothel.
baring their boobs. But
Sounds terrible.
You know when it's like that kind of that old style Vegas show. Yeah. And they allowed us up into the production booth, and we were all up there and watching them do it and everything because we just met some guy in the casino. We were watching them do the lights and everything. It was so cool. And then the gig itself was bananas. I can't remember the name of the band, but the lead singer was just. She was this complete, just had zero inhibitions, and she was for an entire song. She was like straddling me on her lap and just singing the song directly into my face. I think I've never seen a band like it. They were amazing.
It's a little intense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I'm sure it was a lot of fun. That sounds a little like, oh no,
Yeah, it was a little intense.
Personal space.
Yeah. Pre-COVID.
Get a sneeze guard going.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Mike, do you practice your instrument at home?
I actually don't practice the bass, but I practice just about everything else that I play.
Gotcha.
I really enjoy playing bass. This is like the second or maybe third band I've ever played in. But if I had started playing bass, I don't think I would have went with like any other instrument. I
know what you mean. I like the bass too.
Yeah, it's fun. So this is the only band that I've actually played for, not just filling in for somebody. So I should be practicing more, but I have kids and I work at a hospital and it's busy, but I've been slow. I actually just restrung all my guitar. Restrung. That was terrible. Restrung all my guitars and the bass.
Restringed it.
Yeah, I've restrung it.
Restrang.
Wait, so what's the proper one?
I don't know.
I think it's restrung.
I'm going to go with
strings on it.
I'm going to go with restrung.
I'm going with that from now
We
on.
put new strings on it.
Anti-old strung.
That's
cool.
got to be it.
Yeah.
We took
That's
the
gotta
rusty
be it.
ones off. We put the shiny ones on.
Do you still do any kind of like sort of rudiments or scales or anything like that, or is it more just working out songs and things?
More, I just like I'll hear a bunch of songs like driving to work, and I'll be like, I want to play that, and I'll go home and like learn some stuff. I learn better by either just free playing or trying to like cover something that I'm really into.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, this is like, this is a cool chord progression, or I've never even played like anything like this before. Something different in it that I try to incorporate into other projects, whether it's just me doing something by myself. But
Yeah.
I was kind of, for a while, I really like, my other band we haven't played in a while. I think last June or something.
Oh, hell.
No.
The Madball
Murphy's
show?
Law.
No.
Murphy's
Oh
Law.
yeah,
that was-
February.
yeah,
February. I think.
Madball was last July, and then I think October we did the Murphy's Law show at Respectables.
Right, gotcha. So, what about you, Travis? Do you practice at home?
Yeah, especially now. Well, I was trying to stay in my daughter's school zone and living in Jupiter. I was in an apartment for 7, 8, 9 years. But with how things are going down here in Florida, we bought this place. Now I have a music room. So yeah, I played drums Drums was my bugaboo. Drums was the one I couldn't practice because I have guitars all over the house.
Sure.
So I play guitar every chance I get. That's just what it is. But now that I have my drums set up, that has taken precedent because of my lack of ability to do it before that. So yeah,
It's just kind of exciting.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I took
I
it
imagine
for
it's
granted.
a wonderful tension release as well. Just
It's the best thing ever.
beat
dude.
the hell out of it.
It's the best thing ever, dude. Or sometimes beat the hell out of them, sometimes not. I listen to a lot of jazz. I enjoy playing jazz. And it's
awesome.
a completely different element, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Do you play jazz on guitar too?
No, while I'm working on it, I always try and mess around with like some Larry Carlton or like Pat Metheny, stuff like that. Not as much the leads as the chord progressions are difficult enough.
Yeah, they are. And actually, what I've discovered, because it's not like I practice jazz a whole lot, but I do occasionally, just to kind of keep my chops up a little bit. And if you know the chords like the back of your hand, the soloing just comes.
It comes natural
from the chords.
The chord structures.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm starting to learn.
Yeah.
You know what's helped me a lot lately with my dexterity, the old school picking down, pick up, open, the E, F sharp, G sharp, top string, and then you just do every string.
Yeah.
And then you just go backwards doing and like it's helped my dexterity a lot because I realized like how I was just playing, because the band I play guitar in is just like a pop punk band. It's not super challenging,
Yeah.
But now I have the ability to practice and be a better guitar player as well. And I realized how like rusty I got when it came to things that are a little more technical.
Yeah, totally. It's that's one of the studies that I give to almost every new student I get is that, and I call it the caterpillar for some reason. I don't know why.
That it looks like the Hungry Caterpillar. It's just fundamental guitar playing, dude.
Exactly.
And it's just like.
And then I have them go like 1 3 2 4 1 3 2 4, and then just all the different combinations.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, I send them off with that like the second or third lesson. Once they can fret a note, I have them start doing that.
And you find mostly they're having success with it.
Yeah, definitely. The ones that practice. You know, I'd say 1 in 5 students honestly does practice more than like twice a week.
And then there's always that one that mom and dad just make them be here, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they get that. But every now and again, you get someone who just practices like crazy, and then that's just like, okay, right, I got to keep up with you. You know, within a year or so, they're like, they're just shredding, and they're like,
virtuosos.
Give me something else. Give me something else. You know, I love it when I get a student like that because it puts like the best kind of pressure on you as a teacher.
Yeah, it puts life back in you as a musician, I'm sure.
You feel like you're not wasting your time. You're like, oh, good, okay, somebody's listening.
Somebody's getting
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't say it's everybody, but definitely happens sometimes. So the hardcore scene in Florida, something that I am curious about is, has it changed from when you first got into it down here, and how has it changed?
Yeah, I'd say it's changed. I mean, anything's going to change over a period of 20 years. I mean, now, 20 years ago there wasn't, Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. 20 years ago there was, all old colorblind skinheads beating the shit out of people, and venues opening and closing. And
I used to hear stories from my friend Luke about like, West Palm Beach big fights and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot less of that going around, which is a good and a bad thing. I think.
Right.
I think to a certain extent, maybe a smidge of gatekeeping can be good. It's hardcore. It's supposed to be a smidge dangerous, but depending on who that danger's aimed at, I guess it might be good or bad.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's definitely changed a lot. People are a lot more personable. There's a lot more acceptability. You got like hardcore bands like Turnstile that are playing on like the Jimmy Kimmel Show and the Today Show and all that. And
Yeah.
it's a lot more everywhere. You can find hardcore in any city in America, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Everybody has kind of stayed able to stay connected. It's a lot different than it was 20 years ago, but I think it's changing for the better.
So some of the I like, because I wasn't here then. I have this kind of sort of gilded sort of idea about what Spanky's was like back in the day, because it just sounds like it was like a whole lot of fun.
Debauchery.
It was.
It was. Yeah, amazing shows. Some of the best fucking shows
Every
I've
band,
ever seen
dude.
in my life. Like crazy. Like it was a weekend where Bane played one night, Zayo played the next night, and I think Comeback Kid played the next night.
And then like the next weekend was like the Voodoo Glow Skulls. Like it was, and I went to all of them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Spanky's somehow just like all the shows like. Oh, yeah, I got to go to Spanky's. Of course I'm going to Spanky's.
Well, and they got a lot of, if I remember correctly, like they got a lot of really big national names, but then also they would have these amazing local band shows.
Yeah.
You like would discover like some really badass local bands that you didn't know existed until you saw them at Spanky's.
Yep.
Spanky's had some of the best shows. Ray's
Yeah.
had
Oh,
amazing
Miss
shows.
Ray's too.
Oh yeah.
Ray's was amazing.
And that's kind of why I brought it up, because something that I wonder is, does it feel like that there's less avenues, less places to play these days than there used to be?
I guess yes and no. I mean, there is still places. They pop up all the time. You always find shows. Anytime something shuts down, like they're gonna build something else.
Yeah.
Respectables is still going strong after 35 years.
Yeah.
Propaganda is still there. Of course, if you go down south, they have Gramps for bigger shows. La Rosa. There's always going to be places popping up, and they might not have that same history, but I don't give a fuck about history, to be honest with you.
No, I get it.
But I think that there's a difference, and I mean, I was born and raised in West Palm Beach, and so I've been to zillions of shows around here. There is a difference in the venues that we have today and the venues. I mean, even Respectables has changed considerably from when it opened until what it is now. But I mean, there's a lot of places like Button South. Button South used to get, like down in Lauderdale, I mean, they used to get a shit ton of really big names, Ozzy and all these guys and whatever. Yeah. You don't, there's not small, and it was a small place. I mean, it was not, it was not huge. I mean, any no seats. I mean, I was gonna say any seat in the house. There's no seats. You're standing room only, but it was like you could stand anywhere and like, be a stone throws away from the band. And there's just not a lot of places like that around here anymore. Like it's either a Respectables or a Propaganda, which is, it's an okay size. It's not anything huge by any means. Or it's some like ridiculous arena or whatever, and you're 900 miles from the person, and it costs you $600 to get a ticket.
We need some more happy middle grounds.
That's exactly right. We do need some happy middle
I believe it
grounds.
also has to do with like the time, because when I think about that, I think about the time period, or it could just be like me in personal perspective, because I remember like late 90s, early to mid 2000s, like Ray's and Spanky's every weekend were like competing with shows.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
they were both having banger shows on one end of the spectrum or other.
Was
And
Propaganda there at the time?
I don't think it
I don't think
was.
so.
Propaganda, I
Not
think,
yet.
I think it was
started doing
like a
shows
bar or
like
something.
2011,
Okay.
2012. I
So-
might be mistaken on that. Don't
so,
quote me.
So, okay, that's interesting. Right, yeah. That was pre-Matt with Cecil and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Spanky's and those guys, I mean, we're talking like 90s, early to
I mean, what year did it actually close down?
It was
was
torn
right-
down in 2005 or 2006.
It was
I
like
think it was
I
five-
graduated
five
in
or
04,
six,
and it was
or
shortly
5 or
after
6.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, like we saw legends at those places, dude. I mean, I remember I saw Grade at Ray's with like 15 people there. Like how douchey of a story is that? Like there I saw when I was in high school, I saw Grade at Ray's and there was nobody there, and the bartender whose name was Ray was doing coke off the bar, and like it was just like just
But
whatever.
that's what I'm saying. There's no like
That's-
you
that's
like
just-
you put it, no middle ground places. You know? There's
Yeah.
just
I
not.
definitely,
There's
I
not.
think there is definitely a loss in like official venues or venues like that where it was like everybody was just touring all the time, and like you said, it was like, you know, you had shows every weekend, and it was like where are we going, or are we hitting a couple shows?
Yeah.
You know,
you
it was-
always knew what you were doing.
exactly. But the one cool thing with playing a lot of this, and not even for just heavy music, but like anything kind of more underground, I guess, is like, you know, somebody will just like a show or a venue will close down and the show will be like 2 days away, and somebody would be like, oh, I have like a warehouse I can fit like maybe 50 people in, and like
Yeah.
a couple hundred people show up to this thing.
Yeah.
And there's definitely still that, even though there's not as many venues or
That DIY thing.
I see that a lot all over South Florida, and I'm sure I hope it's everywhere, because I think it's a really cool part of underground music, just making it happen no matter
No
what,
doubt
no
about
matter
it.
what you have available to you. So
Yeah, totally.
for us, I think we always have that element. You know, we'll play under a shack with 2 sticks holding up something, but
Yeah.
you know, that's fine.
I do see a lot of that. I see a lot of my son's well, he's 18 now. He's a drummer, and he's got a bunch of friends in a bunch of different bands and things like that, and same kind of thing. You know, he'll go out on a Friday night, and I'm like, oh, where you going? I'm going to a show. Oh, cool. Where are you going? I'm expecting to hear Respectables or you know, Propaganda or something, and he's like, oh, I'm going to a warehouse on XYZ Street. And I'm like, what? You know, or a house party, and it'll be like, you know, someone who lives out in like Loxahatchee or something and has a huge backyard, and they'll set up a full-on stage with lights and everything, and they'll get 10 bands playing, you know, 10 local bands, and it's
That's very heartening to hear. That's cool.
It really
it is really
embodies
cool.
what we do, or you know, I'm not saying all of us, but like what we do
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
like underground, like not mainstream music. That's what got us into the music, is the side shit like that, not this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everything over here. You
And
know,
it's something that I wanted to ask you about in terms of the sort of general sort of ethic of hardcore and stuff, and how important is that sort of side of it to you guys, like in terms of, you know, the scene, what it represents, and the ethics behind it. Is it important to you?
Is and ain't. Nice generic answer. It just depends on my personal ethics. Don't always agree with everything in hardcore, and vice versa. Like I'm, you know, and that's a good thing about hardcore, is it can really embody anything as long as you're true in it and you don't compromise it.
Yeah.
Like anybody can be in a hardcore band and have a message, and it can work. Like it doesn't have to be this specific thing or that specific thing. As long as you're not one of these people that waffles on it, you know, and like, oh, you know, the label wants us to add the singing part, or, you know, somebody wants us to, you know, do this photo shoot, or we're going to play a show for these executives. Like, nobody's asking us to do that, so I don't really know how hard it would be to say no to somebody with money. But I don't have any problems. Like people in hardcore stay with it, and a lot of people fall out of it. But you know, like I said, it works when it works, and when it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that totally. All right. Well, I think now would be a good time to listen to one of your songs. Let's do that.
Ooh.
Footsteps are so big under your feet.
561 Music is brought to you by Handlebars Bar and Grill. It is a biker bar in Sequester. It's been there for years and years. It used to be called Judy's. Now it's called Handlebars. And my father-in-law bought it, and he completely refurbished it. We were down in the basement, kind of cleaning it out and sorting it all out for months and months. And then now it's up and running and spanking clean, and it's got great food. Bernsey does the food, and we've got plenty of great beers on tap. And it's a biker bar, so if you're a biker, you should swing by. We've got a nice bit out front there. You can park your bikes. We do a bike night every second Thursday of the month from 6 to 9. And I run an open jam on the fourth Sunday of every month, which is all-inclusive. Anyone who wants to come and jam, whether you just want to try out a song you've never sung in public before, or if you want to come and play with us, we pretty much got you covered. So come and check the place out. It's open 7 days a week, and it's a good crack in there, man. You should come check it out. And the other sponsor we have is Oasis Root Kava Bar, which is on Indiantown Road in Seagrape Square, which is on the corner of Indiantown Road and alternate A1A. Now, if you don't know anything about kava, it's a Polynesian root that they grind up and they mix with water, and gives you a little bit of a warm feeling. It's not like alcohol, doesn't get you drunk, but it definitely sort of helps lubricate a social situation. So if you don't drink, it's kind of a nice thing you can go and do. And even if you do drink, it's a nice thing you can go and do. And Jim, he runs it sort of more like, there's a whole slew of different types of kava bars out there. There's the ones that are more like a club where it's kind of black lights and EDM playing and stuff. This one is more like a cafe vibe. It has a nice sort of polished wooden bar, and it's a very chill, relaxed atmosphere. So if you want to come and check out a kava bar, if you've never been to one, Oasis Root is definitely a good entrance into that world, because it's a very relaxing atmosphere in there. Got a couple of TVs on with different stuff. He always plays classic movies on TVs. They do a poker night, and you should go check it out. Oasis Root on Indiantown Road. All right, so we just listened to your tune Footsteps. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
That was the one I think that they wrote while I was, like I said, out of the room. They had a practice without me while they were writing, and they sent me that track, and it was just such a damn ass beater. Like, the whole thing just sounds like Comeback Kid, just very, very big, epic sound on it. Yeah. And so I had to write just the most insane lyrics I could come up with. And, the whole song is about generational trauma, your parents failing you, you failing your children, just this never-ending circle of people being dog shit, starting with, the first people that you meet, which, are your folks usually.
Sure.
And it's the whole point of it. It's the whole song is about, every good fella I know, every person who died of a drug overdose or suicide or, homicide or what have you. They had dog shit parents, parents that failed them and that didn't like them, didn't want them. And then they always play the victim at the funeral, things like that. And it's just a song just about, fuck those people. I don't like them.
Well, my mother worked in child social services, and she dealt with a lot of people like that. And it's a very real and very tragic issue. She used to come home from work just so loaded up with other people's trauma, it was just all over her face. And just like all therapists, she had to have therapy to you got to kind of pass it around a little bit to dilute that kind of trauma.
Oh yeah.
It's and so I think that's an awesome. You were saying that that the messages in your songs weren't all that important. I think that's a very important message. I think that's very profound and a very real situation. It's not like you have to it's not like you have to exaggerate that. It's a problem in our society. I think, to more or less of an extent, all parents affect their kids in some way. I think even if you're the best parents in the world, the kids are going to carry some kind of baggage from them. But, obviously some are far worse than others.
Oh, not my kids. They're fantastic. Only because they listen to the show. We're great parents, and my kids are great. But I'll tell you, after the mics are off.
So, we're not going to do our gear section today, but I think we're going to talk a little bit about some of the other things that you guys do. So, you run a tattoo place called TBA, don't you?
Yeah, TBA Tattoos off of Okeechobee. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Can you tell us a little bit about the place?
Formerly Aces High. Of course, that central ownership closed down. We've rebranded, renamed, new ownership, TBA Tattoos. We've got 11 artists there, pretty much work any kind of style under the sun.
Great.
Yeah, very, very experienced, very knowledgeable, very clean. You know, we go out of our way to make sure that people have, good experience. You know, you go into a tattoo shop most places and, it's got a vibe where they might not want you there,
Yeah.
It's just, I want to tattoo a skull. It's like, okay, well, actually, my girlfriend here, she would like a butterfly. Nah, I don't do butterflies. Like, oh, Jesus, all right.
Yeah.
We're a tattoo shop that, works with people. Whatever you want to get done, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, cool.
Just the one location, though, right?
Yeah. We're not looking to expand. We have no interest in that. No.
No, it's all good, man.
Yeah. That's awesome. And, as someone who clearly enjoys tattoos, I'll have to head in sometime and get some ink.
Yeah, come on in. Absolutely. Open 7 days a week. Off Okeechobee, TBA Tattoos. Find us on Instagram.
Have you ever done any tattooing yourself?
Oh, hell no.
You haven't seen how his hands shake.
Yeah, I got I had reconstructive surgery on this hand and, all sorts of other, stupid fucking monkey punching shit,
Gotcha.
Not for me.
Gotcha.
And just make sure the artists stay on time, keep the lights on, make sure everything's, up to date as far as bills go and, customer service.
Gotcha. Yeah. Excellent. Mike, you want to tell us a little bit about Seven Serpents again?
Yeah, we've, like I said earlier, we're a very sludgy, heavy, stoner metal, whatever you want to call it, type band. Just very slow chugging riffs and just nasty, long, drawn-out stuff. I think we were started in 2015.
Right.
And it started more as kind of trying to emulate bands like Sleep or Electric Wizard and even Black Sabbath, in that kind of vein of darker rock and roll. And it's almost as we've gone along, it's almost we're kind of more with some type of hardcore influence instead. Everyone in the band has been in different hardcore projects, and it's we started trying to write this thing, and it's naturally kind of moving back to what we've done, but with a very dark vibe over it. I have a lot of fun with it. It's the first band I've ever fronted. I play guitar and do vocals in that band, and I like it because, like I said, when I started getting into bands like Poison the Well and all these post-hardcore bands that were very dramatic, some of the talking parts and things that were just a lot of trying to convey an emotional state through a song, and
sure.
I like doing that with this, but it's mostly under a pretty dark wing with that.
Cool.
So it's a lot of fun.
I've never checked any out. I've got to do that. That's interesting. And Travis, you have a band called Inside Jokes, don't you?
I do. Yep.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about Inside Jokes?
Basically, it's just for lack of a better term, and I hate it. It's pop punk sound.
Yeah.
But it's not what you would think pop punk is.
Very campy.
It's not like Newfound Glory.
Right.
But even though it has parts, it's very dark.
Trying to phrase it if Lucero fucks Newfound Glory.
That's I mean, I don't know how to. With really really dark lyrics, and it's a hard band to describe, but
right.
I love it, and it's other than
I've heard some stuff. I dig it. It's badass.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It's my child. So
yeah.
Other than my real child, it's my band child.
How long have you been doing that?
We started in 2015.
Okay.
Released an EP in 2018, and then a full length in 2020. Don't quote me on all that. So.
Right. I very nearly did some recording for you, but I wasn't well at the time. It was right before I went off to sort my life out. So it didn't end up happening. But
it's all good. I know. It's no hard feelings. Like it's all good. I'm glad you're doing well, dude. That's all I care about.
Oh hell yeah, man! I appreciate that.
So, but
yeah, maybe we'll get an opportunity to do some recording in the future.
We are about halfway done with writing our next album. So
excellent.
We'll be in cahoots. Is that what you guys say? Cahoots?
Yeah, that works. yeah.
It's got to be it.
Yeah, that's cool. So, do you guys have any? So, what's this gig you got coming up? Is it in Orlando? You said.
July 3rd in Orlando at a place called Uncle Lou's. I don't know if you guys ever been there or heard of it.
I've heard of Uncle Lou's.
It is a very tiny hole in the wall, and the last time I think I was there was in 2016.
Yeah.
And a fella rode a motorcycle in and started doing burnouts in the middle of a pit, and somebody grabbed a bench from outside and smashed it through the ceiling. So,
well, first they threw it at Patrick. They threw the whole bench at Patrick, and Patrick caught the bench, and then I think threw it to the ground, and then from there somebody else broke it.
Patrick's the only guy that could have caught a bench.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Orlando's always great with us. Like everybody there is just violent hooligan fucks. And it's just going to be amazing. Like,
what's the date on it again?
July 3rd, I think.
July 3rd.
Playing with some other bands, or?
Hell.
Hold on. I got the
It's some
flyer.
touring bands from Georgia. They're like punk bands. It's going to be a punk show.
Okay.
So we'll be a little bit more out of our element on this one. But it's, I think, Left 4 Dead? Oh, there it is. You got it.
Left 4 Dead is a video game.
Okay. It could be two things.
It's TV Generation, Strike First, Rotten Stitches, and the Rottens. I think it's Strike First and Rotten Stitches are the touring bands.
Touring bands.
That's the venue.
That's the venue. That's the venue.
I'm so proud that you read that, but
I read.
You do.
I do reads.
Hooks on Phonics work for you.
Now we're showing our age because kids these days, you do like hooked on phonics. They're like hooked on what?
Hooked on what? Hooked on what? Is that crack?
Is it August 5th? August 5th we'll be playing at Propaganda with Ether Coven.
Excellent.
I think we're allowed to talk about that after today.
Yeah, because they posted, they released an album.
That's
right. That'll be their CD release.
Band, right?
Yeah, Justin Januzzo's.
They're amazing.
Mean Pete, the singer guitars. He's the one that did our album artwork for Heroes Dose.
Right.
They got an album coming out. That'll be their CD release. We'll have hand-burnt copies of our own CD there, so you can get a physical copy and lose it immediately.
Is your new record available on the streaming services? And
all of them. Every single kooky, crazy one that they have. Apple Music, Spotify, Zibbler, Bumbler, fucking Flory, whatever.
MySpace Music.
Yeah. We're going back to MySpace. I think we should take it off everything and just put it exclusively on MySpace.
So you know how they lost 50 million
Sign
songs?
a deal with Tom.
You know how they lost 50 million songs on MySpace? There are some songs that I have no other copies of, and I had forgotten that happened, and I went to try and find them online. And you know how there's all these other websites that used to take the music from MySpace and kind of, so I was looking through them and none of the things are working. There are a couple of tracks that I wrote that I really want to listen to and they are gone.
Bayside, long story short, that whole Bayside, that band, that first EP that they released, which is the best work they've ever done. They've released several good albums, but that very first one was the best one and so formative for me. You can't find it anywhere.
Oh no!
Now you can only find it on YouTube, so you could watch the background of the video with it. You know what I mean? Not the video, but just the cover of the album.
Cover,
So you gotta sit there and be like, leave your phone screen on. Which I don't know why that's annoying, but it's annoying.
I know what you mean. Do they even have any copies of it?
I'm sorry.
I wonder if they still have the copies of it.
So apparently, there's some sort of copyright or rights infringency or something like that where they're not allowed to put out that EP anywhere.
Oh, that sucks.
And so it's not on Spotify. It's not.
That sucks.
Luckily enough, Bayside came through Swampgrass Willie's in circa 2000.
Right.
Jesus.
And there's only one remaining member, which is Anthony Ranieri, the front man, the guitarist. And they handed out burnt copies of this CD. Well, a buddy of mine who is now the new guitar player in Inside Jokes, we got a second guitar player. He's like, yeah, man, I got that and I burnt it. It's on my computer. And he sent me the files. So thank God, I finally got to have a copy of the CD again because I was a freshman in high school and I was like, this thing's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I don't care. I'll buy another one. It gets all scratched up. Who cares? But now it's worth its weight in gold. You can't find it anywhere.
Wow.
And YouTube sucks to listen to shit on. So
No, I hear you. All right. So what have we got coming up?
We got a bunch of stuff this weekend. We have on Friday from 8 to 11, we have Conky Joe's.
Yeah.
That is Stewart.
Jensen
Beach.
Beach.
We have
Great
Das
place.
from 7 to
Go
10 on Saturday night.
And that's in Abacoa. Yeah.
And then Sunday, we're doing Rockin' River Walk up in Stewart, and that's 1 to 4.
Is that the one right on the water?
Yeah.
That is
such a fun
That
gig.
is so badass. So before, I just moved right there. I live right around there. And before we moved up there, we were walking around downtown Stewart, and we saw this band. It was they were younger kids, but they were like a funk band. They're called True Phonics or something like that. Or they had horn players and
wow, cool.
I'm particular. If you're gonna try and play funk, you better play it. And dude, they played it.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
But that was the first I saw that venue with the water behind them, with the steps up, and I was like, and that's when I fell in love with this town. I was like, thank God I live here now.
I know. I love
they
Stewart too.
Yeah, I think they only started doing that. I've been up there for almost 20 years, on and off. I've moved up and moved back, but I think they only started doing that 6 years ago. And I always randomly walk over there when a band is playing, but it's they never miss with a band that I've heard
that
over there.
It's
They're
always fire.
Somehow they always find the right people.
Yeah,
to
every
play.
band I see them post and advertise for is always a band that I've heard or I could look up and listen to, and is like you said, they never miss. They're always really good bands.
It's always good music.
And in that same district.
And Killbillies.
Absolutely. The Lyric Theater, which is right in that same thing.
Yeah.
Not to be redundant, but I just learned that Pat Metheny was there a month ago.
Oh wow.
And I was like,
Kevin Bacon and his brother play there sometimes.
the Baconator, huh?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us,
a
man.
lot of
Thank you
fun.
so much.
Yeah, very illuminating about all sorts of things, and I'm gonna listen the hell out of this new record. I've been listening to it a little bit, but I'm gonna listen to it on the way home after Poison the Well.
There you go.
Probably listen to
There
it
you
4
go.
times before you even get home. It's very short.
It's 8 minutes long. You can, even if you don't like it, it won't ruin your day.
That's awesome. All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, guys.
you.
Appreciate it.
See you later.
Everybody sing, it's what we're doing. Come and check it out.